Good morning. And thank you to Joshua. Can we all come in and come together? And there's a spirit of celebration happening in here today. Can you feel it? I think it's because the sun's out. It's so beautiful. Well, good morning to everyone, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, where our mission is about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. My name is Reverend Jane Simmons, and I am your platform person for today. Please take a moment now to silence your cell phones, but before you do, check in and tell the world you are here. And tell them they can tune in at our website and watch live. And welcome to our online viewers. We are glad you are here. So we want to begin our time by saying together our opening affirmation. I will speak it once and then invite you to say it with me. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle: one presence, one power, one life, living as and through each one of us. This morning we will hear from Dr. Gary, who's going to talk to us about owning your life, and the meditation will be led by our wonderful guest musician, Joshua Inascio. We are delighted you're here. So we'll go to the next slide and say that Joshua is our musician today. And yes, and in addition, Al Konigsfeld and Jeff Sitek and Royce Gorseth will be assisting later on in the service with some of the singing we're going to do. So we're going to begin with our community song, so I'll invite Joshua to come on up.
Good morning to you all, and thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. The instruction I was given by Tani, who's not here today, is they like to join in with things. So what I want to do is start off with a chant. This chant, Om Ganapataye Namaha, seems like a mouthful. You'll get the hang of it. What I have here is a looping station, so you sing into it, it records itself, and you record over it. The possibility for something going wrong is so very, very great. It keeps life exciting, you know. So, Om Ganapataye Namaha, if I can just loosely translate that, means that within me bows to the removing of obstacles in my life. I refer to you to my splitting hairs department if you disagree. Okay. Om Ganapataye Namaha. 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 Om Ganapataye Namaha.
Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ganapataye Namaha. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Here we go. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Om Ganapataye Namaha. 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 Om Ganapataye Namaha.
Breathe that in. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Deep breath, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Now that you're all peaceful, I have the announcements. My name's Linda Tweedy, and this will rile you back up. Okay. Please leave your bulletin covers in the back of the sanctuary after the service so that we can reuse them next month. And Sunday snacks are gratefully appreciated. There is a sign-up sheet out on the welcome table. And join Reverend Jane April 6th. That's next Saturday at 10 a.m. for a continuation of the Island of Sanity. Become an evolutionary in order to welcome a kinder world in manifestation. And if you've not been to the first one, that's okay. You can still come to this one. Stay after the 12:30 Linger Longer potluck for Joshua's workshop and sound alchemy and your divine blueprint. A clearing, balancing, tuning, and bringing in higher energy. Also tomorrow he has spots open for a half hour or 1 hour private sessions. You can sign up at the table out in the atrium there. He also has CDs for sale. He'll be out there after the service. And on Good Friday, April 19th, beginning at 2 p.m., we'll have a vigil in the chapel, a prayer vigil, sponsored by the chaplains. They will conclude at 5:30 and meet out at the labyrinth for a walking meditation. There's a sign-up sheet in the foyer, and if you have any questions, just check with Mary True. And now, Jeff.
Thank you, Linda. As you well know, Broadway on Bernard is coming up Friday, April 12th, Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and 14th. Friday night is at 7:30 p.m. The doors open at 7, but if you're not here by 6:30, you won't get a seat, because guess what? 77% of the tickets have already been sold for Friday night. We expect to sell Friday night out this afternoon, right after the service. So and we have you're going to see a video in just a minute of the special guest that's flying in from New York for this, so we're pretty excited about it. We will be providing babysitting on Saturday and Sunday's shows, matinees, from 2:30 to 5:30, but you need to check in and write the names down of who needs babysitting at the ticket desk, so that Jackie and everybody back there knows, how many people we need to provide babysitting for. So if you or somebody that needs babysitting, be sure and let them know that we're providing that at both matinees. Today is the last day to buy discount tickets at $15 and $20. Most of the premium seats are gone, but there are 5 left for Friday night. The premium seats are all sold out for Saturday, and there's about 20 premium seats left for Sunday. All proceeds from this adventure go directly to the church. This is done totally on a volunteer basis from top to bottom. So every last dime will go to the center. So I'm pretty excited about that. And also, if you're a baker and you want to make treats and you want to individually wrap them so we don't get shut down by the health department, we would love for you to make some goodies and have those wrapped and have them to the church no later than Thursday, April 11th. So we're looking forward to you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, everyone coming. It's going to be a fabulous event, as it always is. And now, cue our special guest.
Lights, camera, action. You don't want to miss seeing my son if you can avoid. If you want to come see him. He's just, you know where he gets his stuff from, right? Okay. It's meditation time. No, it's not. That's not. It's your turn. Yeah. Switch it back. It's coming. It's coming. All right, so Amber's going to do the transformational stories. There we go. There we go.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am very honored to be here to talk to you this morning about my story of transformation and the tremendous impact that Unity Spiritual Center has had and continues to have on it. But first off, you need to know that 100% of this story, like all of yours, has been divinely co-created and perfectly orchestrated by Spirit and my soul. And when I remember this fact, I am always so very grateful. But of course, when I forget it, not so much. To give you a little context, I grew up in a religious cult that was very Old Testament based and quite literal in what it taught from the Bible. And it was not easy growing up being really religiously different from my classmates and others that I was around. We observed the Sabbath. We didn't eat certain foods or celebrate any traditional holidays. We, couldn't wear makeup. We had to cut our hair a certain way and wear certain clothes. Yet probably the hardest part was just the traditional holidays. And we did celebrate some Old Testament holidays, which weren't quite as fun. Some examples are like we did the Days of Unleavened Bread, which was like 7 days of not eating leavening, and nowadays that's just gluten-free eating. But back then it was not cool or in, and it was very difficult. And then we also had something called the Feast of Tabernacles, which again, it was no Christmas at all. So, and I remember being scared of God, really. Or at least the God we were taught in church. And I remember him not resonating in my heart. I was also worried about the future and my place in it. And of course, I was very worried about the end of the world, which our founder had, predicted. Fortunately, I had a very strong and loving mother in my life. And for me, she was the real God. She was my safe place, my refuge from the world. And I knew deep in my heart, as long as my mom was taking care of me, or as long as she was close by, I was going to be fine. Everything was going to be fine. And I had nothing to worry about. My mom had a heart condition and ended up having 3 open heart surgeries to replace 3 of her heart valves. And this took a great toll on her body. In early 2016, when she was just 67 years old, she started getting sicker and sicker. And together, we realized that she was dying. Now, this was a huge shock to my system and something I was not capable of acknowledging or accepting on my own. I knew I needed a power greater than my perceived understanding of this very difficult and very painful situation in order to get through it. And that's when I started coming to Unity Spiritual Center. My kids were 2 and 4 at the time, and I found out they had childcare here, which was very important. I felt like it gave me a little break where I could just focus on my own spirituality and my own process, my own journey. And at first, I only came for the message. Man, I came in at 11 and we left at noon. Like in and out, didn't really talk to anybody, but I came for the message. And every single message I heard from both Dr. Jane and Dr. Gary hit me really hard right in the center of my chest. It's like they were speaking directly to me. And I remember I cried a lot, and especially during the meditation, which again, I hadn't really connected with that part of me in a long time. But one of the most powerful experiences I had during that time was with the chaplain program. I was not ready to pray with anyone, but I felt very comfortable submitting a prayer request for my mom. And I'll never forget receiving a letter in the mail from a chaplain with an affirmation and a prayer for my mom that touched me deeply. And it was exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. And that's when I really knew I had found my spiritual home. And so I kept coming back. And I was even able to bring my mom to a few services when she felt up to it. My mom loved being here. As a matter of fact, she was very touched and cried when she saw how children, specifically her grandchildren, were honored and blessed every single Sunday. This was something that did not happen in our cult. As you can imagine, we were not honored. We were kind of annoying. My mom died in August 2016. And honestly, it was a beautiful and magical passing. But I felt very lost without her physical presence. And I was forced to go inward and reassess my entire life, which I did, thanks in large part to the spiritual insight, community connection, and direction I received here at Unity. I enrolled in the Q process and really focused on my own inner mother, who I could feel guiding me, and I could actually feel I was being introduced to for the first time. With my mom gone, I had no choice but to find that inner mother, and that was really powerful for me. In January 2017, as a result of all this spiritual work, I followed my guidance and quit my job at Gonzaga after 13 years and started publishing a natural holistic living magazine called Natural Awakenings, which the April issue is out now. You can pick it up and back. Thank you. And since that time, I have become more and more involved with my spiritual home here at Unity and with all of you. Last year, thanks to my own profound experience, I decided to become a chaplain. I have also been volunteered for a variety of assignments. A variety. Dennis thought I would make a good barista, so he put me on the schedule. So I'll be a barista today, actually, after services. And Dr. Gary thought I should be on the Conscious Conversations team. And when Dr. Gary wants you to do something, you just do it. That's my philosophy anyway. I am also newly on the board here at Unity, but the biggest surprise for me has been the guidance I have received toward ministry. And so I am currently taking classes to become a Unity minister myself. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you. The mission of Unity Spiritual Center is more than just a phrase. We really are all about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. And for this place and for all of you, I am deeply grateful. Thank you.
So we're going to take us into meditation. Thank you, by the way. And take us into meditation now. I'm going to use the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this prayer, not actually written by him himself, someone more recently to our time. And I'm very fond of St. Francis. Someone once joked that no one has the ability to predict the future. He said he believed that isn't the case when he sees a newspaper headline, "Psychic predicts lottery." Right? But he said that we all have the ability to change our course. And so the prayer of St. Francis is about continually looking to find that center point. So I invite you to close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath together.
Sow hope where there's darkness. Let me sow light. And where there's sadness, let me sow joy. Let me sow joy. Let me sow joy. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. O Divine Mother, grant me that I seek to console. To console. O Divine Mother, grant me that I seek to understand, to understand. O Divine Mother, grant me that I seek to love, to love. Sing with me. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. For it is in giving we receive. Make me an instrument. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying an instrument. We are born to eternal life. Born to eternal life. Of your born to eternal life. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace.
tapestry of all that is. Make me an instrument. We pray, Heavenly Father, Mother, that our distraction be distanced from us, that we can feel ourselves, choose our course, be strong in our discernment. We say, make us an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace, your purity, your power, your presence, stillness and wholeness, for all that we need. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Bring your attention to your heart, please. Breathe from there. Think from there. Bring your attention to your feet. Your feet touch the floor. Just in your mind's eye, with your eyes closed, see everyone in the room. A glowing light. Every single person. See that. The same as you. Let's take a deep, full breath to the whole body. Just a moment of two in silence. Thank you.
The song after this. First service, we played the song. We played the promo for the Broadway show with my son, and it kind of ruined this experience. So I'm just I'm finding myself hard to shift out of that spot, that space. So last time I spoke 2 weeks ago, we had some technical difficulties, and so we're going to be making up some of that information that was lost. I'm going to share a video that I wanted to share, but I just wanted to mention that last week I was in Canada. I was visiting a client church ministry that I'm coaching, and all the churches that I'm coaching in the New Thought movement, both Unity and the Centers for Spiritual Living, we're all in this effort to try to make our organizations healthy in these times, where 9 out of 10 churches are in decline in North America. This is very difficult for us to kind of be in the effort to fund the organization when the attendance is a challenge. And so I went to this ministry last weekend because they're at a place where they're ready to implode. Basically, they reached a point where the attendance was sufficiently low, and love offerings and tithes support was sufficiently lacking, that there was a lot of drama about what to do in the future, and I was there to try to bring them back from the edge of the brink of going off this cliff, because I could just see it. I've worked for the last 20 years helping the New Thought movement to kind of move into a healthier place, and on that day, that weekend, that Saturday, I was preparing to go into a meeting that was critical, pivotal, and as my way of relaxing before I enter into those kinds of dynamics, I flipped through, go online, flip through what's happening on Facebook, and I saw this picture on Facebook. And so let me just read it. It says, "Hey, Ken, tell the Spokane geniuses I say you guys are shifting the future." And I'm thinking, Spokane, Ken? What's this? And we're into Dr. Joe here, Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff, and so I'm thinking to myself, no, it can't be. It can't be. This Ken. Yes, this Ken. There's this Ken right there. That's Ken. Hey, Ken. And there's Annalisa too, by the way. And so they were off of Portland last weekend and connecting up with Dr. Joe. And and the reason why it struck me so, because we've recently started our own Morning Joe meditation group that happens here at 5:30 in the morning on Mondays. So you really have to be really into Dr. Joe's stuff to really want to come. And so I asked Ken if he would kind of own that Monday that I was going to be gone on my birthday, the 25th. I was flying back from Edmonton. And so he said he would, and then I saw this picture, and that's Ken right there, right after he finished the meditation, and it just gave me a sense of really just loving this community, loving what we're about, loving what we're up to. We're up to things that just aren't happening, and should be happening more so with respect to what's going on in spiritual communities. And so I just wanted to begin by saying that part of when I'm traveling and when I'm supporting other New Thought churches in the effort, just as we are in this effort, to create a community that is built around our intent to transform our lives. That's why we gather. And once our life is transformed, we just naturally want to give back. We want to make the world a better place for what we're experiencing, what gifts that we've been given in our capacity to overcome our own self-imposed limitations. I mean, how many of you feel that that's what's going on for you when you come into this place like this? That this is what we're about. And so everything in our effort is really about supporting each other to do the very hard thing, and that is disconnect from what's going on out there in the world, as if the world can tell us our worth. You know, we're conditioned to source our well-being and source our discomfort outside of ourselves, to look for change, to look for well-being, to look for affirmation in the outer. When the reality is that we have to understand that we come fully capable of being worthy and able to receive the abundance, that Spirit that God has given us. You know, it's my good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's just that we're out of phase. We're out of phase with that reality because we're so connected, plugged into our environment, to the world that surrounds us, and triggered by it often. And if we don't have a relationship with the dimension of ourself that is infinite and eternal, the dimension of ourself that lives interconnected to every single thing in the universe, if we don't feel that connection, then we live separate and apart. And when our life looks and feels against us, we're compelled to have it be a well-being and worth. And when we understand that, we'll stop fighting with the outer experience and deal with what's in the way, in here. And so when we begin to practice a way of organizing our attention awareness in the context of the truth of who we are, as opposed to organizing our attention awareness as it fixates upon the conditions and circumstances of our life, we begin to understand that we can work the circuits of consciousness differently when we have a different context for how we're having our life. And if we have our life as if it's for us, then we have to feel a sense that it's for us. And the only way to have our life for us is to be in the feeling that we welcome it, we receive it, we're grateful for what we're having. But it's difficult for us to go to that place of gratitude because our training, our conditioning says that if it doesn't feel good, it must be against me, right, or bad. And so we wait for something to make us feel better before we open ourselves to it. But that's not the way it works. And so if we're to be empowered, if we're to really transform our life, we have to be capable of being with whatever is happening as if it's for us, regardless of its felt quality. All right, so I'm getting a little sidetracked here, and what I want to get back into is helping us understand that when you meditate, when you begin to say, okay, I'm going to begin to develop and activate a relationship with my own interior so that I can experience this dimension of myself that is capable of being with whatever I'm having and not diminished by it. But right now, if I'm operating from my conditioned self, I get triggered when something or someone looks and feels against me. So I have to shift within myself in order for me to be able to be present to what heretofore I would have reacted to, but now I'm going to welcome it. And in order for me to learn how to do that, I have to begin to train my awareness to be differently with what I'm conditioned to otherwise push away when it looks and feels against us. So I'm going to share a short video that helps us understand the challenge that occurs when we make a commitment to begin to disengage from the outer and really open ourselves to the internal places within ourselves where we can generate an authentic sense of well-being and worth. And so here's a little clip that illustrates the challenge that we have.
It's quite normal when we start to meditate for the mind to jump around all over the place. We might find it tends to chase after all the little things, to be constantly moving about, from the present to the past to the future, in fact to rarely be still at all. Fortunately, the mind can be tamed, not by forcing it to stop or trying to make it sit still. We don't want to trap it. That would just stir it up and create even more movement. But by training the mind, having an awareness of when our attention has wandered off, and gently bringing it back with a kind and friendly hand. In this way, the mind slowly becomes a little less restless. It also becomes more comfortable with this idea of sitting still. In fact, it might even come to enjoy it. This analogy for the mind has been around for thousands of years. Thankfully, so has the knowledge that, with time and practice, we can learn to train this monkey.
So how many of you have experienced monkey mind before? Okay, and so I want you to notice something, that when you stop meditating and monkey mind goes away, and then you start plugging back in your circuits back into the outer, it seems that your mind operates differently. And then when you disconnect from the outer and now have to be just within yourself, there's things that are going on that appear to happen as a phenomenon associated with a mind that's unplugged from the outer. So in other words, what happens is that we dimensionally shift when we all of a sudden cut off all the stimulation from what's happening in our life and now focus upon the dynamic of what goes on when we begin to just think within ourselves. And the phenomenon is such that we need to understand that we're addicted to engaging the outer, and then when we stop, what happens is a phenomenon called monkey mind that begins to kind of tell us that it's too crazy inside, and so we don't ever experience what it's like to get past that experience of our minds being so busy, and never learn how to bring our attention awareness to a place where we can hold our attention awareness and achieve a modicum of dominion over how our mind and meaning making and attention and awareness function. And so when we begin to exercise the internal circuits that begin to reflect inward with respect to our self-system, when we begin to observe our self-system and its unconscious dynamics, we begin to understand that the driven aspect of our life is a conditioned phenomenon as opposed to who we really are. And so while the busyness of our mind is a phenomenon associated with what happens when we unplug from the outer stimulation, the dynamics of our life that look and feel against us are also a phenomenon associated with our life being lived out of a context of separation or below the line. For those of you familiar with the line, it's an either-or situation. You're either living above it or below it. If you're below the line, you're living as if your life is against you. And if you're above the line, how are you living your life? It's for me, right. And so if below the line, the dynamics that define us, or the dynamics that limit us or diminish us, if those dynamics are all about life being against us, then how are we having our life? We're having our life as if we are a victim. And so how do we have our life when we're living above the line? We have it always for us. And so if our life is always for us, on some level, it's just a matter of how we're having our life. You see, two different people can have their life below the line and the other person above the line. They still have the same life experience, but where they're living it from or how they're taking it in is the difference. Are you taking in your life from below the line, from a sense of separation, from a sense of inadequacy or unworthiness? Or are you taking in your life from a sense of knowing that it's all for you? And if it's all for you, then you have to use what you have as if it's for you. You have to welcome what you have if it's for you. You have to be in gratitude for what you have if it's for you. We have to generate the felt sense of you are welcoming it, or I am welcoming it if I'm actually to be in this experience of above the line authentically. And so while we're in this kind of struggle of understanding the dynamics of our self-system, we can all relate to and understand that for the most part, our self-system is unconscious to us. In other words, we don't necessarily know we're in the habit of being in a certain mood or temperament. We don't know that we're in a certain habit of doing things, and a lot of things we do are unconscious, such as unconscious eating or spending. We're not often conscious of how we're having our life, and we may be conscious of who's the matter with us, but we're not conscious of the dynamic within ourselves that is actually having somebody the matter with us on purpose, because there's a payoff in that we have habituated this self-system to look forward to expect. And it's interesting that tell a little story about Jane and me. And Jane is in charge of the extracurricular activities of our family being the two of us. And because otherwise our life is so myopic in the sense that we just live church. Everything in our life has something to do with our ministry. The Q process, my coaching, her stuff, writing, everything has to do with this ministry. And so I'm happy to pour myself into it, it's just, so she's trying to get us to do things. Like go on hikes and go to plays and go experience stuff. And so I have a hard time kind of saying yes to everything, but so my practice is to try to step out of that pattern and say yes to everything that Jane wants to do. But what happens is that when I go actually out to the event that I said yes to, there's a part of me that's trying to figure out a way out of it. All right? So I'm conscious that's going to happen, so I'm trying to settle myself. So we went out to this play, A Midsummer's Night Dream, Shakespeare, and it was a combination fundraiser for our group, Our Place, a community service organization that helps the homeless, helps prevent homelessness. And so we went to this event, and here I am. Okay, I'm going to go to this play, and I'm actually going to enjoy it. And so we get there, and everything's late, and everything's crowded, and my brain is, I can use this as an excuse. I can use this as an excuse. I can use this as an excuse. And so here I was, my body was trying to tell me, you don't have to sit here for this. And so here I was trying to settle my body because I knew it was a pattern. I knew these circuits were just kind of running me. And then finally I got to a place where I was able just simply to relax. I got my little Tai Chi self on. And then something happened in that moment. I got distracted, and as soon as I got distracted, during intermission, they started auctioning more things off, which meant that the intermission was going to be not 10 minutes long, but 30 minutes long. And it was already 9:30 at night, and we hadn't even get the second part of this. And so as soon as that situation came, I was out of there. But the point I'm trying to make about this is that our lives are run like that automatically all the time, and we think that that's just how things are and that's normal. And if we don't understand that there are consequences for just letting ourselves kind of make all the rationality about, okay, this is going to be boring, I'm not going to like this, and then we gather all the evidence that we need to make up whatever it is that we need to decide that convinces ourselves, no, I'm out of here. And so the dynamic is that if we don't intervene with respect to our own habits of being, our own unconscious self-system, then our reaction to our life is our life. Your reaction to your life is your life. I mean, that's important for us to hear. Our reaction or our response. Our reaction or our response is our life. And if we don't recognize that, then we're believing as if our life happens to us and we stay below the line. So,
one question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool, a line, a simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question. We are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
So the first step is just to know your location. Are you above the line or below the line? And then when you recognize that, oh, I'm below the line, then what should you think is next? Get above the line, right? Okay, so so Jane and I are going to be doing a lot of talks on getting above the line, but let's just sort of unpack this a little bit more. So the title of my talk is owning our life, owning your life. And so if we think about owning our life, what is the thing that we need to really own? We need to own what we're here to bring forth. We are here to bring forth something that fulfills a purpose that makes this world a better place. And we have to own that intent, the intent that seeks to live itself through us unto our world as the Christ of God, or the one unto our life. There is a purpose for which we are here in this world to bring forth, and we can't do that if we're below the line, because we're in victimhood. And so owning our life means that we have to own being above the line, because that's where our life really begins. or the life that we have in order to be able to make the world a better place. And so part of the effort is that when we own our something, we say, this is mine. And when we say this is mine, it means that we take responsibility for it. And part of our effort is to really mature in our relationship with our spiritual journey, and recognizing that ownership means that we have to take 100% responsibility for how we're having our life. And if we're having our life as if it's against us, then we have to fix ourselves. We have to shift within ourselves, not the outer, because it's going to be a wasted effort. And so part of understanding the below-the-line dynamic, it's systemic. In other words, it's not the truth of us. It's a conditioned dimension of us. And we're just out of phase with the above the blind, you know what I'm talking about. So can you see, does this not make sense to you? Yes, makes sense? Okay. And so if we can see that all of the below-the-line behaviors that we are engaging, and we live in the engagement of those below-the-line behaviors as if those are the things we should do because everybody does those things. I mean, can you see what's wrong with the world with this diagram? Politics is all below the line, isn't it? What if our healthcare system and our political system and our educational system, think about all the systems that we depend upon to nurture us from cradle to grave that are below the line. And who's going to fix that? Us. That's right. And what if we're the first spiritual community that can demonstrate what above the line behavior accomplishes in the world? Wouldn't you want to be a part of that effort? Yeah. And so when we really create a community around this intent to do the best that we can, to wake up when we realize we're below the line and just stop, and just pray that we don't have a regret for what we've just put ourselves and others through, and be in the intent to be above the line. So here's how you know that you're living below the line. The first is if you have any scarcity in your life, if you can make something mean this is not enough, you're below the line. Because when you get above the line, that's impossible to do because you're connected to everything. You're not separate from anything. But when we're below the line, we feel separate. It feels like we're not enough when we don't have what we need. And we can't save ourselves from that. We have to begin to function from a different dimension of ourselves. And when we recognize that our behaviors, the things that drive us, are programs that we've taken on, that they're circuitry. It's a circuits. We're systemically conditioned to react and be however we're being, depending upon what's happening in our environment. We have a circuit for our boss, we have a circuit for our kids, we have circuits for all the people that we have that are the matter with us, but they're conditioned in our self-system. And if we're to extricate from that, if we're to move from below the line to above it, we have to know what's going on. We have to understand that the dynamics that are happening below the line we're caught up in our unconscious self. And these circuits run without our having to pay attention to it. And these circuits define us if we don't rework them. And all we're saying is that when we bring the whole system, all the circuits up above the line, we have a different reality. And so you still have to deal with the circuits of being. You still have to deal with the circuits of doing, of having, of feeling, of believing, of perceiving. But we don't have to create habits that are below the line dynamics. We can create above the line habits that have us habitually welcoming in what we're having as our life. So if we have scarcity, if we have judgment, if we have struggle, those are the three habits that keep us below the line. And so the antidote has to be feeling our connection to all of life and therefore the abundance that is implicit in that reality, knowing that we're all connected and knowing except for the grace of God, there go I, so I can let go of judgment right there. Besides, Down here, judgment is against me. Up here, every judgment is for me. And the reason why every judgment is for me above the line is because every judgment is not about me. Down below, every judgment is about me. Down below, your need to be right makes me wrong implicitly. But when I'm above the line, your need to be right doesn't make me wrong. Can you see the difference? There's a whole different life out there depending upon where we're living it. Our reaction to our life is our life. I think I'm going to stop there.
I was surprised you made it to intermission, to be honest. So, you did well. You got points just for what you did, so thank you. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, because we know there is only one presence, one power, one life living as and through each one of us. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you are welcome here. We'd especially like to welcome anyone who's here for the first time. Is there anyone here for the very first time? If you want to raise your hand, our ushers have packets, a gift packet for you. Down front here as well. On the front, there is a form you can fill in. This will put you on our e-mailing list as well as our quarterly newsletter. And you can fill that in and put it in the offering bag as it goes by instead of giving us a donation this morning. And so we are delighted you're here with us, and we welcome you here. So we'd like to welcome and greet each other now. And as we do, we'll do it with a handshake, a hug, a high five, fist bump, whatever. And how about a greeting of hello, Spokane genius? How about that? So Joshua is going to lead us in a song first before we begin to welcome and greet each other.
If anyone is here for the first time and you said, I'll come on the condition that some guy doesn't come out with the guitar, I'm sorry. But I also want to say I travel a lot, more than my family would like. This conversation isn't happening everywhere. Just saying. This song called Good, Good Father, you may have heard it. I want to play this song because I like it. Also, the conversation we're really having is about separation. And children, young children, have not learned separation. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Would you like to stand and greet each other? Fist bump. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we
say a word, you're a good, good father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. Because you're perfect in all of your ways. You're perfect in all of your ways. You're perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think, and you tell me deeper still, and you call me deeper still, and you call me deeper still into love. Love, you're a good, good father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am.
Hey, all right. Good morning. My name is Jim Sledge. I have the privilege of being the treasurer on the Board of Trustees, and this is a time in our service where we acknowledge and appreciate your financial contributions to this wonderful place. And if there's any greater evidence of the value of what we do here, it's listening to stories like Amber gave. And it touches me, and I'm sure it touches every one of us, to know that transformation is available to all of us as long as we continue to work as a community. And to have confirmation of what we do here that is important, coming from somebody who's not been here. So there's no greater reason to be a financial partner than what you've just heard. Pretty good weaving, huh? So let's take the gratitude for our financial contributions to this place into our hearts as we say together our prosperity blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share, and so it is.
So this is another chant just to round off the morning. The chant is Ad Kure Name, a calling to the white light of protection within and around us. Ad Kure Name, Juga. Kure Name, Sad Kure Name,
Guru Deve Name. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, rose and crown, good Lord, show me the way. So, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, roses and crown, good Lord, show me the way. So, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, roses and crown, good Lord, show me the way. So, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, roses and crown, good Lord, show me the way. So, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Join with me. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, the roses and crown, good Lord, show me the way. So, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, Mother, let's go down to the river to pray. As I go down to the river to pray, studying about some good old way, roses and crown, good Lord, take a deep breath. Show me the way. Let's take a deep breath. Bring it in. Bring it in. Let's go down. Bring it in. Let it coalesce. Let it magnify. Let it breathe. That it's there for you all week until you come and fill up again. Deep breath. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Please join me in blessing this offering as we give thanks for these gifts and we send them forth to bless our planet. And we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Let's see. And as we're giving thanks for the gifts we're receiving at Unity Spiritual Center, we want to take some time to thank all of those in service to our ministry. And today we'd especially like to thank all of our ushers and greeters. If you are an usher or have been an usher in the past or greeter, please stand so we can acknowledge you. And of course, Diane and Alan are standing at the back, and we include you. Yes. By the way, if this is your first time here and you have any questions, you can ask any member of our welcome team. They are the ones with the yellow scarves. Any yellow scarves want to stay? There you go. There you got somebody right there. Karen will tell you what you need. Our chaplains today are Tim and Gary. And Julian has been holding the whole service in prayer at the back there, as one of our chaplains does every week. We're grateful for you. Tim and Gary will be at the front of the sanctuary after the service. If you have something heavy on your heart or something joyful you want to celebrate, come on down and they will hold it in prayer with you. Thank you both for your service today. You can also fill in a prayer request form in the seat back in pocket in front of you. If you have some kind of prayer request, you can put it in the prayer box, either up here or in the atrium. And our prayer team will pray over it for 7 days, and then we'll send it on to Silent Unity. They will hold it in prayer for another 30 days. Also, if you know of someone who is in the hospital or shut in and they have requested one of our chaplains to visit, you can fill in the green form and put that in the prayer box as well. Our children have arrived. We're going to sing them in with, which one?
I'm walking in the light. I'm glad you asked.
We're doing I'm Walking in the Light. All right.
I don't need no mic. In the light, I am standing in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. In the light, in the light, in the light, I am walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. In the light, in the light, in the light, I am walking in the light, 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 in the light of God. And there we go.
Welcome to our children. That was a test to see if you were above the line or below the line and could sing along with different words. Well, we are so blessed with our children, our youth, our young people, aren't we? Yes, we are. So we're going to take a moment now to bless our children, our youth, and all of those who are in service to our youth ministry. We are grateful for every one of you. Let's say together. Be the love you are, sing the song you hear, share your joy of life with people far and near, and for ourselves. Be the love we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near. And so you can go ahead and find the people you came with this morning. All right, everybody has found their tribe. No wandering folks. All right, please, first of all, I want to thank Joshua again for blessing us so much with our music today. Thank you, thank you. Thanks to Al and Jeff for leading us, and they will lead us in the prayer song, the peace song as well. But I just want to remind everybody that Joshua has a table outside the door there. He has CDs for sale. You can also sign up for his workshop this afternoon and or private sessions with him tomorrow. So thank you for that. So now let's all stand and say together the prayer for protection followed by the peace song. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are,
let's all own our life and let's get above the line.